at the bottom down there, and I'm going to be using some of this, so that's great. All right. That's great. I'm from Gulfport, by the way. Born and raised. Calvin, great. Good.
For those just joining us, to familiarize yourself with the chat, the little bubble down at the bottom right of your screen, if you want to drop your name and the organization you're with, just so everybody has a sense of who's here with us today, we'll be using the chat to interact throughout the webinar. And I think we're good to go ahead and get started. And if people trickle in, they'll trickle in.
Great.
So first of all, good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Martella, the Program Assistant at the Mississippi Alliance of Nonprofits and Philanthropy, and we are very excited to have y'all here. We're also very excited to have Brad Tisdale here to lead this webinar. He's got a great set of skills and expertise that he'll be able to share with y'all and answer questions and all that good stuff. So I'll start off reading a little bit telling you a little bit about Brad, and then I'll turn it over to Brad to deliver our webinar for the day. Okay. So Brad started the fractional CFO consulting firm BT Advisors in 2022, and he did that after 14 years of service at the Reformed Theological Seminary as the Chief Operations and Financial Officer. In that role at RTS, he managed $20 million as an annual budget, 125 employees, $120 million in assets, and 9 campus locations spread across the eastern United States. Before that, he worked for 6 years with a Big Four public accounting firm in which he specialized in the nonprofits industry. Brad has a heart for nonprofit organizations because he believes there's a real mission behind every action carried out by those organizations. He's a certified public accountant and has both a bachelor's and master's degree in professional accountancy from Mississippi State University. He serves as a ruling elder and chairman of the World Missions Committee at Highland Presbyterian Church in Ridgeland, Mississippi. And he and his wife, Sarah, have been married for 9 years and have 2 beautiful daughters, Millie, Ruth, and heirs. So that's a little bit about Brad. And with that, I'll turn it over to Brad to say anything else you want to say and then get us started with our presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Wonderful. Well, yeah, help me monitor the chat and we'll go. Listen, all right, it's Thursday morning. It's a little dreary outside where I'm at. We're going to be talking about exciting stuff like accounting and dashboards, but we're going to have fun at this. And we're going to wake up and we're going to get going. I need y'all's input here and participation. And so we're going to have a good time. Like Michael said in my bio, I've been in your seat. I've been there. I've sat there on that desk and worked for 14 years. I worked in the nonprofit space. I audited before then, so I've been there. And today, I'm hopefully going to help you have some mindsets, some thoughts, and help you build a tool, a scoreboard or a dashboard for your organization. And it's going to be exciting. So thank you for giving me your time. Thank the Alliance for letting me be on to be able to present something that I'm really passionate about. So we've done a little intro here. I see what organizations you're at. That's great. Tell me and if you haven't yet, what cities you're at in Mississippi. Where are you at and around? I just want to know. As you're doing that, put that in the chat. As you're doing that, I was born and raised in Gulfport. I went to school up in North Mississippi in Starkville, and I've been in Jackson for 20 years. And so I feel like I've kind of covered the whole state. I'm a Mississippi guy and love it. And so I feel like that's good. All right, we got some Jackson people. Wonderful. Thank you, Patricia. Vicksburg, great. Thank you. By the river. Keep those coming in. Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Now tell me what roles you have in your organization so I can know a little bit about what you're doing. Are you development officer? Are you executive directors? Or are we just staff? I mean, tell me what y'all are doing there so I can kind of know who we're speaking to. West Point, great. All right. Executive director. Thanks, Calvin. Executive director does a little bit of everything, don't they, Calvin? All the hats. I get it. All the hats. Board president. Good. Okay. Board growth coordinator. Correct. Wonderful. Okay. Keep them coming. We're going to do that. That's awesome. And if y'all want to turn your cameras on, that's great. If not, I'll just sit here and talk to Calvin and Michael. All right. So you got me. Well, look, let me tell you a story. As Michael said, I have two little girls, and they're always together. They're pretty close in age. They're always together. And so my wife and I try to be intentional occasionally about us getting one-on-one time with them. So last spring, I took my little 6-year-old, my sweet little 6-year-old, and we went on a day date. And we went to a local nature park around here, a nature trail. And it was a beautiful sunny day. She was wearing her little New Balance shoes. It was smelled like mix of pond and pine needles, and it was a time, and we just held hands, and we walked around this nature park, and we wandered around, and the objective was for us to find as many animals or bugs as possible, and we'd find those animals or bugs, and we took our little notebooks and we'd write them down in the notebook, and we were counting them out, counting them up, and kind of trying to see who could get the most. And so she would run over here and she'd say, "Oh, there's a squirrel. There's a squirrel." And then she'd run over there and she'd find a bird. And then she'd look under this leaf and she found a caterpillar. And she said, "Look, Daddy, look, Daddy, it's a caterpillar." And that was her favorite by far. She'd write it down. And we just spent the time walking around and doing this, and had a great day. All right, we got some more people coming in. That's good. And she thought the purpose of that was to find these animals and bugs and those kind of things. But that wasn't the real purpose. The real purpose of that time was for us to spend the time together, to connect with each other, to have dedicated time. There was a bigger purpose that she couldn't really see that was going on for that time for us together. This is the reason I'm telling you this story, is because I feel like sometimes in our organizations or nonprofits, we're always going and looking for the coolest little thing, or we have this fire that's burning and we have to go and address this. Or maybe we're wandering around and we're not exactly sure what we're doing today. And but really, we need to remember and realize that there is a bigger purpose, a bigger vision for what's going on in our nonprofits, what we're trying to accomplish, what we've been called to do and to work in. There's a bigger picture, even though sometimes it's hard to see at the beginning, and with all these little things going on. So we need to find ways to step back and tools to help us to always remember that big vision, that mission for our organizations, and not get lost in the forest. Not get lost in the trees. We need to look at the forest and look at the big picture. And that's what I hope to do with you today. So look, here we go. Let's jump in here. Have you ever had a set of financial statements or accounting work that's done and presented them to your board or to your leadership team and said, "Any questions?" and only to be met with silence? Let me share my screen now that we do this. Here we go. Sorry. Oh, I didn't even have my thing up here. Let me show you. I missed my advancing on my screens here. Let's see. There's my little girl. There she is. There's us on our nature walk. There she is. She's got a little notebook there, her little tennis shoes on. That's her on her on her walk. So that's it. But we're gonna get out of the trees and we're gonna look at the forest today. We're gonna zoom out and then we're gonna zoom back in. Okay, that's where we're gonna go today. Have you ever, or maybe you were handed a set of financial statements from your bookkeeper, your accountant, or those kind of things, and you look at those and there's a bunch of numbers and you're like, "I don't even know what this is saying. I don't know what this means. I'm not sure if this is good or bad. What is this really telling me?" Or maybe you wake up one day or you're sitting in your desk and you're frustrated with the lack of control that you feel like you have on the organization, or you question, am I even making real progress on my mission right now? Am I making an impact? Yeah. all those things. Well, enter the scorecard. Scorecard and dashboard. We're going to use those terms interchangeably today, but that's what we're going to be working on. Now, scorecards or dashboards, they've been around for a long time, okay? And you may have some version of something, or maybe you have a few metrics that you're tracking right now. And we're going to talk through some of those things today. But I want to help you build something that's not only going to help, that's going to transform the ways you think about what you're doing on a daily basis, but also helps you measure the impact that your organization and nonprofit is going. It's going to also help you align your team and change the way that they might operate on a daily basis too. This is a management tool. Okay, so that's where we're striving for. That's what we're going to try to get today. This isn't just about a spreadsheet, okay, or a sheet of paper. It's about the work to get the right data on the spreadsheet. Here's the point. Here's the point. If you don't start tracking the right metrics, then you will leave your organization's results and missional impact up to chance. You will focus on the wrong things or whatever fire is burning in front of you instead of the most important things that'll move your mission forward. Okay. Fancy software is out there to pull these dashboards together, which is awesome, but that takes money and time and IT, and a lot of times we just don't have that. So we're going to do it a simple way, and we're just going to do it in a nice little spreadsheet. Okay. And listen to this, I've seen a good dashboard induce more conversation, critical, good, constructive conversation at a board meeting than an income statement or a balance sheet ever dreamed. Are you ready to try something different to engage your team and move your organization forward? Are you willing to challenge the historical way that you've always measured the impact of your organization? Those are big questions. If so, give me a yes or a yay or a thumbs up in the chat if you're willing to think a little bit differently here for the next few minutes in order to propel the mission of your organization forward. I want to see some yays or chats or yes. There we go. All right. You have carved out this time in your day because you're interested in this subject in some way, shape, or form. I want to make it worth it to you, but I need you to be open and thinking and ready to think differently. We're going to challenge our traditional thinking a little bit here. Make sure you've got a notebook, paper, pad. Thank you, God. Thank you, everybody. Great. All right. Have a notebook, paper, pad there ready to go. We're not going to leave our organization's missions up to chance. We're not going to just not manage people. We're going to give them direction, and we're going to do that today, okay? All right, so let me just start off. Here's our 3 laws of scorecards. All right, 1, there is no one perfect metric. I need you to remember that. If you're going to come up with a bunch of different options for what you want to track on your organizational scorecard. You're going to come up with a bunch of them. Not one is going to be the perfect one. It's not going to be the end all be all and tell you everything. That's not the purpose of this exercise today. If you come up with this list and then you start whittling them down, and I'm going to challenge you to do that, and you start feeling and you feel like one is about 70% right, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with 70% right. If we try to get to 90 to 100%, we're going to kill time. We're going to waste it. We're going to lose steam, all those kind of things. And it may not ever happen. It takes time to find the right metrics, but the most important thing is that we want to start this process, start a scorecard for organizations. Second law, the magic is in the trend. Okay, it's not just about one number and finding that one point in time. It's how that number looks compared to the next month, compared to the next month, to the next month, to the next month. That's where the magic in a scorecard or a dashboard comes in. Okay, so we need to start tracking this data, and then we need to be consistent about how we start presenting it. That's where it comes in, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. The last one is you know your needs better than anyone. I saw your organizations. Some of them are small, some of them are larger, different things, but they're very tailored to their specific missions, communities, purposes. So you know what you need. You know what you need to manage and where you need to focus yourself and your team on and what you want to do. And so you can use these scorecards to work on your weaknesses. You can use them to accomplish your goals. You can do them all kind of different ways, but this is for your own, and they're going to be different for everybody. So I have to talk in general terms here. That's why I want you to be thinking about that as we go through this, writing down ideas or notes of how what I'm talking about, what can be carried out in your organization. All right. So the purpose of metrics and the scorecard we're going to build for you is to help the management and the leadership team, all right, move this organization forward. There might be other scorecards in some ways that are good for board members or for departments or specific people. But right now, I want to try to help the leadership team of the organization move things forward. Okay, that's where the action happens, that's where it goes. Um, we want to help you move forward on a daily basis. Let me say something first that's obvious. Okay, you may not have thought about it this way, however. When most people think about metrics and dollars and those kind of things, where are your dollars usually recorded? They're on the financial statements. That's where they're at. But when you look at your monthly income statement, you should realize that it's telling you something that has already happened. It's recording your historical transactions. Those are important numbers, important to have, but you can't change or affect those after they're done. That has nothing to do with where you want to go into the future. That's what's already happened. And I think a lot of times nonprofits, because of different ways, we just accept our financial statements as the best indicator of our success. But is it really? Remember, I'm the finance guy, and I'm sitting here telling you that the numbers may not be the most important metric. The financial statements. Man, this might be terrible for my consulting business here. I don't know. I don't know. But look, Jim Collins, you might have heard of him. He's the author of Good to Great. Okay. And he says a great organization is one that delivers superior performance and makes a distinctive impact over a long period of time. Let me differentiate things here. A business, a for profit business, financial returns are a perfectly legitimate measure of success. Okay. A nonprofit organization, however, performance must be assessed relative to its mission and impact, not financial returns. Right? Can I get an amen? Amen out there. I mean, that's why we get up every morning to go do the work that we do, because there's an impact for our community, for our constituents. That's why we do this. We must ask the question. This is important. How effectively did we deliver on our mission to make an impact, a distinctive impact relative to our audience, our resources? Oh, let me go back. Here's an important thing. I've got this bolded in my notes. It takes a brave organization and leadership team to stare that question in the face and have an honest discussion about it. I encourage you to consider that. If you do, I'm willing to bet that you'll start to have some real clarity about how you want to measure the impact of your nonprofit going forward. That's important. What are we doing here? Are we making a difference? How do we ensure that we are doing that? The tool I want to present to you today, I think will help you do that. If you're not quite ready to go that deep, let me give you some direction on maybe how to pull some of this up. Here's 4 categories of metrics that we want to get into: qualitative, quantitative, historical, and leading. Okay. Now we're going to talk about money because financial resources are what keep our organizations going. We can't do it without money. That's going to be important. But let's first talk about how do we measure mission? Okay. Well, that answer is going to be different for each of right organizations, different mission statements. But this is a deep question. And you need to sit with this for a while and ask some hard questions to yourself, or maybe just had a good conversation with your staffing, your leadership team, or your board. I do leadership team first. Here's a question. Who has their mission statement printed off somewhere in their office right now where they can see it and kind of know what's going on? Any hands? Thumbs up? Yeses? Okay, there you go, Erica. Good. Okay, who knows keep coming, who knows their mission statement by heart? All right, who has to look up their mission statement on their website to kind of remember what it is? All right, here we go. Carla, good. Good. Thank you, Carla. Who has to look up their mission statement on their organization's website to see what it is? Or even their vision statement, if there is one, or their values. If you do that, that's fine. I actually want you to do that in another screen or somewhere. I want you to pull up your mission statement or your value. There you go. Good job, Erica. That's great. That's important. Look, your mission statement is how you define success. It helps you define success. That's what your mission statement should be doing. Your vision statement is telling you where you want to go. And your values talk about how you want to behave and when you accomplish this. Okay. If you don't have all three of these things, it's time to fill in the gaps and do that. I would encourage everybody to have a mission statement, a vision statement, and some values. Maybe you have one of them, maybe you have two of them, but not three. These are all important. Gets to the purpose of our organization and how we want to carry it out. It's vital. We needed to have this before we have budgets, because how are we going to know what we want to invest in if we don't know what we're shooting for or where we're trying to go or how we want to act or behave? Your employees need this. And here's the thing. If you haven't looked at these things in 5 years, it's time to pick them up, dust them off, read them, think about it. It's worth the time. It's worth the time. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it's worth the time. This is where you want to go. This is your ultimate impact of what you want to do. We all know in the nonprofit space, we're wearing 10 hats and this fire drill and that fire drill, and we're going all over the place. But we've got to remember we can't let those things dictate the success of our missions, the culture of our organizations. We have to have these mission, vision, and values in front of us. We have to keep it. We have to get it into the bloodstream of our workflow. We need to read it, put it on your walls, read it in your every staff meeting. Evaluate your employees on the values. Get it into your bloodstream. All right. These are qualitative type of measures. But how do we measure that? Well, we need to identify the activities and behaviors that support these missions, visions, and values. Okay. Let me walk through a risky example here. Okay. I want to help you get it down. Have a notebook, paper. I'm going to give you an example and walk you through how I'm thinking about this. I want you doing that for your own organization. Okay. I'm going to pick on the hosts of our great webinar here. Michael, we're looking at this. We're going to talk about the alliance. All right. The alliance sounds like something in a spy novel or maybe on a reality TV show. I mean, I don't know. They're never going to invite me back here on a webinar. Their mission, here's their mission, is to serve and build capacity and foster collaboration among and between Mississippi's nonprofit and philanthropic communities. Does that sound familiar, Michael? Okay, there you go. That's your mission. All right. Okay, so you all have your own mission statements there. You have them there. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what are the action verbs in that mission statement. All right, I see some good ones here. I see serve, build capacity, foster collaboration. Now, I would ask them if I was talking with them or helping them build a scorecard, I would say, well, how do you serve? And give me some ways that you do that. And what about building capacity? What programs do you have that are targeted there? And fostering collaboration. How is that accomplished? I would ask them that. And they might tell me, oh, we have trainings and conferences and really awesome webinars with cool people on them. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And we have consultants and certifications and we can measure all those things. And that's great. And we're actually going to do that in a bit. But let's go back to our original question. How effectively did we deliver on our mission and make a distinctive impact relative to our resources? Wait a second. I think we just saw a paradigm shift that I want to bring out here. Did you feel that? We just went from, oh, here's the programs that we offer and the things that we do, and we shifted that to our constituent, to our beneficiary, and asked ourselves, how were they impacted? Or how were they affected by the programs that we do? Are they in a better place now that they have experienced our organization? That's the question I want you to ask yourself for all of your nonprofits. Oh, I see. You mean you have to actually assess how well we're doing all of this stuff? Yeah. Okay. Well, how exactly do we do that, Brad? That sounds great, but that sounds really hard. Well, here we're talking to the Alliance, and one metric I'm just spitballing here that we might look at is membership. If membership going up or going down, if it's going up, that means that the work that is being done by the Alliance is actually benefiting their members and helping them and a value, so more people want to be a part of that. Or maybe membership retention could be another metric that we want to do to that. Another one might be the ratings on trainings and webinars. How effective is this stuff that's being put out there? And maybe they do that already. I'll be interested to see how I do. Cross my fingers. But there are a ton of ways to measure maybe the effectiveness of your mission, but you have to think about that from your beneficiary's perspective, from your constituent, your customer, so to speak, to use a business term. But back to the mission statement, build capacity, which I think means to help their members, better equip their members with good information and training opportunities. So how do you figure out if your programs actually did improve the organizational health of the organization? I'm talking to the Alliance here still, helping you think. Well, maybe it's employee tenure at your member organizations. Maybe it is budget growth for your members or dollars received. Are they benefiting? If you're truly trying to help serve them and benefit them and build their capacity, what are their success metrics? Now, some of that data might be hard to get, but it's available and you can get it there. Or maybe percentage of engagement with Alliance programs. I don't know. They would know much better than me. And they can think through those kind of things. But there's something out there for you in your missions that is deep, that is important and relevant, and measuring how your beneficiary, your constituent, is benefiting from what you're doing. Now, look, it's just important that we put some things down and we start tracking them. We can always pivot later on, but putting these things down, remember, 70% right, we put them down, we start tracking them, we can pivot later on. It's going to take a while to start building this and getting the trend, so we want to do that. But I'm wanting you to think this through from your constituents' perspective. Is this making sense? Are y'all seeing that? Did y'all see the paradigm shift there? Give me a thumbs up or a yes or good deal. All right, I want to make sure y'all still awake out there. I know this is exciting, but we're halfway through. We're gonna get there. Great. Thank you, Erica. All right. We're gonna get down to some brass tacks here in just a little bit. This is the important stuff. Let me give you a few more ideas on how to maybe pull this information out. Um, maybe just kind of like what we're saying, what does success look like for the constituency that you're trying? What's success for them? If it's a school, it might be graduation. If you're a food bank, it might be people served or hunger in the community, those kind of things. What does success look like? That's what you're trying to find a measurement on. Not necessarily your programs. There's a place for that. We're going to track that. But this is the qualitative stuff. This is the qualitative section. What does success look like? Here's another item. This is a little Jedi mind trick I want you to do with me, okay? I want you to picture your organization 10 years from now. Literally stop. You can close your eyes if you want to. Think about it. Picture your organization in 10 years. All of your initiatives, all the things that you have going, all the promise and hope that you have for your organization. Place yourself standing there 10 years from now. And I want you to turn around and look back in your mind. And I want you to think, if I did these things, then I would consider my organization having an impact and meeting my mission statement over those 10 years. Literally look back on those 10 years and say, if we did this, this, and this, I would say, well done. That was success. We did it. Write those things down. Write them down on your notebook paper. All these things. I'm hoping you're getting some notes on this, thinking through how this is going to do. And I want you to dream big on that stuff. We are Mississippians. We always beat the odds. We can do this. Dream big. Great things can happen. So these are some ways to dig up some qualitative metrics, okay, and ideas. Put down all your possibilities. Write them down. This is going to be one of the deepest, most challenging things, but this is work that we really aren't used to doing. I want you to go deep here and think about it. Let's move to quantitative, okay? Might be a little bit easier, a little more apparent, a little more easier attainable. The easiest place to go for quantitative metrics is your financial statements, right? I mean, there's lots of good numbers on there. And because it's a good number, doesn't mean, however, that it should be on your short list of metrics in your dashboards. All right. I think you need a max of three financial quantitative numbers in this financial section of your dashboard. You're going to be like, whoa, I think there's a lot more than that. $3 metrics. Let me say it that way. $3 metrics. And here, these are big picture. These are what I would do. This is what I would consider. Total revenue, operating surplus or deficit, and cash. I can't really do this number, so I'm doing this. Three. There we go. Three. Cash. That would be that one. And there's different ways that we can define some of those things: cash, operating reserves, those kind of things. But those are three. We can get as fancy as we want, and we can drill down on some of this, and we might do that when we start doing ratios and those kind of things. But three, big picture: revenue, cash, operating surplus or deficit. Get to the point. That's basics. And when you do put two numbers together, you actually do get a ratio or a percentage, right? Now we're getting fancy, right? That's really cool. And I have one I really like. I'm going to guess that most nonprofits out there, that fundraising and development is important to you. That's probably the case. That's where we're going to have a good chunk of our income. So one of these ratios that I really like, I call it the cost to raise a dollar. Okay, this is supposed to show your fundraising effectiveness in your organization. The numerator are your fundraising expenses, and the denominator are your total gifts coming in. I'd rather them be operating or unrestricted gifts. How much did it cost your organization, and what is that in fundraising, to raise those unrestricted dollars or those monies? You can do total, but there's different ways to do that. I like that ratio to be in the 25% range or below. Okay, that's just one ratio that I look at. We can talk through some of those things. You also have other statistics and data floating around that you may not even realize you have out there. There are reports and data that sit in the back of some of the systems and softwares and platforms that you don't even know is there. I mean, your donor management system is there, but are we really using that to our full ability? You know, there how we want to describe and pull together our donor base, and to have that knowledge. Uh, you know, or maybe there's a conference registration portal or platform that you have to see, okay, well, how are my how are my events being attended? There's some reports in the background or that you can run that'll give you this data and information. Or maybe even your email newsletter that you send out, that platform, MailChimp, Constant Contact, or whatever, you can actually measure and see how your audience is engaging with what you're sending out there. Open emails, read, or those kind of things. These are just small places to let you realize that there's actually quantitative data in places that's outside of your financial statements. That's really important. Okay. Some other ideas that you might want to do this and to look at how to come up with these metrics, these quantitative metrics. And again, we're just putting together a big laundry list right now, just writing stuff down, possible metrics that might be important to us. Okay. Pull out that strategic plan, you know, or dust it off. It's probably sitting over there on the shelf or sitting on a hard drive, or maybe I did that a few years ago. Let me figure out where that was. Dust that thing off, go through it, or maybe your annual goals. I love it when you have annual goals and an annual budget and they go together. Pull those things out, print them off, highlight them, boop, 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 highlight them. Look at your annual budget or your income statement. Identify your top two revenue streams. Highlight them, highlight them, boop, whatever color you want, pink, green, orange, yellow. Print off or your organizational chart. Maybe you have one, maybe it's small, maybe it's like 3 people. I don't know. I don't care. Print it off, look at it, identify your leadership team. We're going to come back to that in just a second, but that's an important. Those are the people. Those are your people. That's your team. That's what you're trying to do. Okay. These documents will leave you clues about what numbers and metrics are important to your organization from a quantitative perspective. Okay. All right. Next and last section, historical and leading indicators. Okay. I mentioned earlier, it's important to recognize which, when you're pulling these metrics together, whether they're in the past or whether they're leading you to something in the future. Okay. We need to make sure and look at this is how this works. These indicators, if we build them right, these metrics, they will lead us to getting our historical results that we want. Let me help you understand that a little more. We need to have the right behaviors and attitudes and activities that will drive future results and performance. If we do these things, these activities, these leading metrics, then we should see progress in the historical results, the numbers, the results. Is that making sense? This can be a great management tool, by the way. Remember that org chart I just told you to pull up? Okay, looking at that org chart, or you're thinking about your employees that you have out there. Okay, what if you gave every employee 3 numbers, 3 metrics, and you said, if you do these well, if you improve these metrics, then I, as your supervisor, consider you succeeding in your role. What? Wait a second. That kind of clarity your employees are longing for. And the right metric can help you do that. They're longing for that. This is amazing clarity. People crave that. Your org chart, you can have metrics for every person out there, including the executive director. What does success look like for them? What should they be doing? The board could hold them accountable for that. The executive director can then do that for employees too. Amazing clarity. Think about that tonight. If this person sitting over there did this, I would be happy and consider them a success. Okay, well, how do I measure that? What behavior activity do I want them doing? What metric can I measure or come up with to help them see that, to help me see that and manage them in that way. And let them have this number out there, black and white. It's amazing. Example of what I like. And see if you can get into my mind about how I'm approaching this process. Okay. Now, again, we talked about giving. All right. I'm gonna keep moving this thing ahead because I want to get to a part where we look at a scorecard. Michael, let me know if I buffer. We talked about giving is really important. And we might have this metric and we can put total giving on this scorecard, but that's kind of lazy, honestly. We're going to see that number on our income statement anyways. So let's try to dig a little bit deeper there and not put total giving. And that's something that already happened. That's in the past. We've talked about that. There's lots of different ways that we can present giving data on our scorecard. And I'm going to show you a couple. But here's the point. What actions will lead us to that total giving number, that unrestricted giving number? What actions do we take to encourage those gifts to come in? That's what we should measure. Maybe it's emails sent. I don't like that. That's a lazy way. But if that's the way we're doing fundraising right now, that's something. But let's try a little harder. What if we track the number of donor emails that were opened by the receiver? Okay. All right. Maybe not. But here's the key. I really think it needs to be how many donor contacts were made. Okay. Face to face, living room calls, coffee, phone calls, those kind of things. Let's track those. If we do more of those, then then gifts will result from that. It's going to happen. It's relationships. We talked about that. I've got a podcast I'll tell you about later. I just did one on how to do year-end giving. It's on my LinkedIn page. It's all about relationships for giving. So let's track how we're managing those relationships, the interactions. Those are the leading metrics that are going to help drive our historical, our quantitative metrics. I know this is meddling, talking about telling people how to spend their time. But let me tell you, this activity has a direct correlation to your gift revenue. And it tells you if your interactions with donors are going down or if they're going up, the results are going to flow from that. Okay. I have one client that I asked to do this and start tracking this, and they did great. They were like, oh, they had their own little personal spreadsheet, and every time they talked to a donor, they put it on there and put the date or those kind of things, and that was great. And at the end of every month, they send me up. I had 20 donor interactions this month. That's great. I put it on the chart on the scorecard that I'm showing you in just a second, and then we kind of move it forward. You see the trends. I have another one that's just struggling with donor interactions and trying to figure out, but it's on the scorecard because it's important, and he's struggling with how to do that. So we came up with another way to maybe encourage that behavior because that's where he needs to spend some time. Is this making sense? Activities, behaviors that we want to track. I just gave you that example. Thumbs up. Can I get a thumbs up if that's making sense? All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. Let's hear it. Let's get down to brass tacks. All right. Let's put some meat on this bone. There's our four categories: qualitative, quantitative, historical leading. All right. Here's the scorecard. All right. This is the cheapest, simplest scorecard format out there, and it's amazing and it's effective. This is a real client of mine, gave me permission to share. Great little nonprofit, Mississippi Delta Christian School. Okay. Let me point out a few key parts here. I don't think I can draw on my screen. Oh, yeah, I can. Let's see. What? What? Here we go. Oh, man. Oh, wait, that's laser pointer. Hold on. Here we go. Pen. Okay. Let me point out a few things here. We want to break this down into sections. Okay, yeah, here's the sections. See these different sections here? Development, academic, spiritual life, athletics, financial. You want to have a few sections, whatever categories in your organization are important to you, different parts of your brain, right? You know this, you're working in there. Well, I got to do fundraising, or I got to do my program work, or I need to take care of my people, or what are my finances? You know those different sections. And that could be how your leadership team is built or how your annual goals are built, different sections of your organization. Put those down here. That's your sections. Also, notice here, I don't have any more than 2 or 3 in each section. Okay. We're really honing in to what's important, what we want to track on this dashboard. Okay. In each section. All right. There may be others, but we want to focus on these. Remember, 70%. And note there's a mix between leading and lagging or historical. Let me erase. Go away. All right. There we go. Look at that. I'm so fancy. Okay. Pin. So leading, lagging. Here's the substantive touches. This is what I was talking about, donor activity right here. Look, struggle. That was an event they had. Nothing, nothing. I'm not getting report, but it's on here. It's important. They know it's important, and their board knows it's important. So they got to figure out a way to get that data, get it going on here. That's accountability. That's how we manage people. Another thing, lagging indicator, but this is another way. Major donor work over $5,000. This is gifts. They have a goal for their year, a personal goal, 150,000. That's what we're going to raise. That's what they're looking at. This is a subset of giving, but it's important. We want them focusing on major donor work, so that's why we've done it there. Online donors, that's a piece. Let's see. Here's a leading indicator. Number of personal student meetings. This is an action, but we think that if they have their organization, if they have these meetings, that's going to lead to them meeting their mission and that spiritual and character development. That's a leading indicator. Okay. If your organization struggles with communication, you need to do better at that. Well, let's track the meetings that we're having. Okay. Faculty meetings. If we need to get people together, I know that sounds crazy, but let's track the meetings. We can do that if we need to do better communication. This is an accountability tool. This is a management tool. If we do these things and track these things and see how we're doing, then other important pieces will improve. Look, nothing, 0, 0, 0. Not having them. Sat in a board meeting with them yesterday. He told his board, said, I'm not doing this. I need to be doing this. This is the accountable. They agree. Yes, please do this. They agree. Here, do these things. So let's figure out how ways to support our people and help them do these things. But we're deciding what we think is important, what success looks like for them. Okay. I want to get through here because I want to have some time for questions. Oh, let's see. Oh, we also have owners. This is the person that's responsible for it. Okay. They own that metric. We have goals. Don't get too wrapped up in this, but we put goals. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to shoot for. And then we track it by month. And we're looking at here. And in October, I'm like, okay, we had 96 monthly donors. Great. How does that? Well, my goal is 130. I'm not there, but they know that. I mean, look at here's a little trending chart. That's fine. I'm above my average for the year, 96 to 98. I'm not sure. Yeah. No, I'm below it. But these are the kind of things I'm thinking about when I'm looking at this each and every month. But you can see as this thing develops. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, this thing has 13 months of data. That's why it's important to start tracking this. You can get historical information. That's not very good. I'm trying to write with a mouse. 13 months. So you can see how you're doing this month compared to the last 13 months or the last 12 months of the year, and then see October. Should have given you another report to look at. October 23 compared to October 22. And then you can like, am I better 1 year later? Essentially, is what you're trying to do. So lots of different ways to look at this thing. Okay. Well, where am I going? Going the wrong way. How'd I get over there? Sorry. Here we go. All right. comparing the actuals to the goals, to the average, to the trends. The trends are important. We talked about that. I'm happy to send you a blank version of this. Use it as a template. Shoot me an email. I'll give you my email at the end. I'm happy to have a 30-minute conversation with you about building this thing and doing it. It's so important. I had a board meeting yesterday. We sat in this. We talked more about the scorecard and the information on this than we did really on anything else, honestly, because this mixes the important information, not only financial, but operational and behavioral and missional. It can all go here. It's so important. And I hope it doesn't look too daunting. It's really not. We can do this. Okay. Peter Drucker has a great quote. You probably heard what gets measured gets managed. I like to tweak that a little bit. What gets measured gets attention. This is accountability for you as a leader, accountability for others to you, accountability for you to others. This is where we want to focus our time and effort. It's not that everything, but this is the important things, the most important things. That's what a scorecard can do. The magic of a black and white number being consistently recorded and reported is a fantastic tool in your tool belt. Okay. So that's what we want to do. Okay. We got a few minutes. Let's play Stump the CFO. If we can do that, please send scorecard. Happy to do that. I'll show you my email in a second so we can connect. Let's play Stump the CFO. I love this. I wish we had more time for this. Next time we'll do more time. If the Alliance has me back and forgives me for ripping up their mission statement earlier. What questions can you bring me? You can come off mute, you can come off your camera, you can put them in the chat. I'd rather you ask me in person, what questions might you have for this kind of thing? I know this is deep, but it's so important. I'm gonna go back to it so you can see. Anyone?
This is Ona. Excuse
Hey,
me.
Anna.
I just hi everyone. I
Hi.
got started a little late, so I'm at the hospital with my husband.
Hmm.
But I wanted to know, will there be a copy of the recording or a copy of something that I could kind of go back and catch up on what I missed?
Michael, I think you said you're gonna do a recording.
Yeah, oh no, we've recorded this webinar and you'll have access to the webinar after
Okay.
today. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Good. Well, listen, I've enjoyed this. It's been great. I just want to tell you that this is a next level tool. It's not crazy hard to pull together. It will require you to think a little bit, but once you do that, it's so much more effective and it will help your nonprofit more so than just your monthly financial statements. So I just want to say that and listen, I think that um, I really want to consider, here's our three laws. Remember, no one perfect metric. We start the trend, and you know your needs better than anyone. And remember, you are not like the little girl that's running around and finding cat and wandering through the trails. There is a bigger purpose and mission for you and what you are being called to do to serve in this nonprofit space. And this tool will help you focus there and look at that. And so, um, and that's what we want to do. We're not Caterpillar. So here's my contact information. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with you there. Here's my email address. We can put it out there. Again, I have a podcast I just started, and I do it LinkedIn Live. And I did it on website this week, and I did one on year-end giving. And I got one coming up on bookkeeping and budgeting and those kind of things. Very practical stuff for nonprofits. So feel free to engage with me there. And again, happy to hop on a call with you for 30 minutes and think through any of the scorecard stuff. If this rings a bell, if you just don't know where to start, I hope I gave you a little bit of direction there. Good. Michael, anything else we need to do logistically wise?
We do have one question in the chat from Erica, if you want me to read it out.
Okay, great.
It said, Erica says, if you were trying to brainstorm some other ideas to put on your scorecard, what are some good places to get ideas?
Great, great. Yeah, I think we talked about your annual budget. We talked about your strategic plans, your goals. Um, look through even your departmental reports, those kind of things. What you're looking at there. Go back to your foundational documents as well. I mean, anything. This is historical stuff. You're trying to remember and think about what's important to you. Look through your budget and see there too. So there's some different places and different things, but challenge that traditional thinking, I would say. Really broaden your mind and look for some different ways. Ask a donor. Ask a beneficiary. What's important to you? What does success look like to you? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna come off. There we go. So that's what I would encourage everybody and leave everybody with. These can be transformational pieces. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being on. Um, it's been enjoyable. I hope y'all gotten something out of it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all all for being here. And like we said, we've recorded this webinar, so we'll make it available to all of you. If you have, if you want to follow up or have any questions, you can reconsult this, or you can send those along to me or Brad, and we can follow up with you in that way too. All right.
Wonderful. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great day. Appreciate it.
You
Everyone, have a
also.
great day.
Good. See, where did I go?